Hey everybody, today I want to chat with you a few minutes about, let's see if I can get this up here in front of the camera, Journal to Joy. And at the end of today's recording, I'm going to tell you how you can win one of these beautiful printed journals. But first, help me welcome my friend and neighbor for the last 40 plus years, Amy Crump.
Hello, it's good to be here with you.
Great. So let me tell you a little bit about this journal. If your life is not meeting your expectations and you're ready to direct your focus to the things that bring you joy, this workbook and journal is just the thing for you. It will guide you to identify the dreams for your life and help you discover the things you need to release. The guided journal has a place for intentions and reflections, affirmations and gratitude, along with a word for each day. I made it as a free gift for each of you to download from my website. Then one afternoon, I was outside watering plants when Amy walked over and asked about, was there going to be a printed version? So Amy, why were you interested in having a printed copy of this journal?
Well, because I wanted to have something to hold. I was very excited that you were doing it. I thought it was a wonderful idea, but at the same time, disappointed that it was online only. And I wanted something that I could hold and work with and make my own.
Very good, and I appreciate you sharing that with you. And in all honesty, for someone to print this at home, it is 85 pages. It's got a lot of information, but to print it and to print it in color can be costly, and punch holes and find you a notebook to put it in. So the printed version turned out to kind of address all of that.
It's beautiful. I've seen it. It's gorgeous, and you're right. I was just thinking of all that ink and the paper, and you know, it just didn't seem feasible to print it out. So I'm so happy.
Yay!
That you made a journal, and so.
Well, yay! Well, I appreciate you having that idea because lots of other people have already started benefiting from that. But Amy, how do you see yourself using the printed copy of this journal?
Well, Louise, I'm going to, if the air conditioning's working properly, I'm gonna sit with it under a throw, and I'm going to take my time, make it my own. I'll have a pen in hand to be able to write my thoughts. I love it because it'll just be there for me when I want to pick it up, and I can keep it for how long I need to be in a certain area of the journal, and I'm just real excited about the whole thing.
Well, I am so glad you are. I'm so glad you shared the idea. But how do you see yourself using the printed copy versus that PDF copy that was online, so to speak?
Well, as I said, I like to hold books in my hands. Certainly a journal. It's so much more personal to be able to hold it and write in it. You know, you can't make those notes online in a PDF file. So I think this is just a great thing that you've done.
Well, good. And you know, I'm like that too. I like to write, and that's why I like to have an actual book in my hand instead of reading Kindle or something. I'm the one that writes in my books and turn pages down, and I know other people that won't do any of that, but I do make it my own. Okay, friends, you have heard from Amy and how she plans to use her printed copy of the Journal to Joy. But what about you? Are you interested in having a printed copy also? And if you are, just send me a message on Facebook or the website or a text. If you haven't downloaded it and you're curious about it, you can still go to my website, louisepistol.com. You can go ahead and download it and take a peek at it there. But While we have Amy with us this afternoon, I have another big question for her. Many of you have seen these beautiful mugs that have been on my Facebook page and my Instagram page. And I am honored to tell you that Amy handmade these mugs especially for my book launch. So Amy, I want you to tell us a little bit about the process for making these gorgeous mugs, please.
Okay, thank you, Louise. I was really honored when you asked me to do this, and I enjoyed every one that I made. First of all, the clay that these mugs are made out of is dug right here in our beautiful state of North Carolina, near Asheville. The cylinder itself that forms the body of the mug is hand thrown on a potter's wheel. I do that first, of course, then I set it aside to harden up just a bit while I pull the handles for the mugs. And you do that just by holding a lump of clay and just pulling like this, you know, till you get your handle formed. And then I drape it over something rounded, set it aside for a little while I work on the next thing for the mug, which is the Joy plaque. Roll out a thin piece of clay. And then I take this stamp, which I fashioned, just a second here, let's see. I carved the word joy into this stamp, each letter backwards and the word backwards, of course, so that when you transfer it to the clay, it writes itself. Anyway, I stamped the square with joy. Set that aside also. When these two pieces are firm enough, they're connected using slip. And then the Joy label is added using the same process. Then the entire mug is set aside until it's totally dry and there's no moisture in it at all. Then it's ready for the bisque fire. So you put it in a bisque loaded kiln, and you fire it for over 1,600 degrees for 12 hours. After that, in about a day's worth of time, you can open the kiln, take it out, and then you can begin the glazing process, which begins with 2 coats of underglaze painted on the word joy. Then you wax resist this label or plaque to protect it from the rest of the glazing process, which is a double dipping of 2 different glazes for the entire mug. This section is where those glazes overlap. After that's done and the glaze is dried, you put it in a glaze-loaded kiln and fire it at over 2,100 degrees for, again, 12 hours. And then in about a day and a half, it's ready to take out and be enjoyed. No 2 mugs are alike, and it's been my pleasure to make them to help in the launch of Discover Your Joy. A great book.
Well, thank you, Amy. And it's actually an amazing story to hear all that about the mugs, and you have made them, and, you know, I have been distributing them, and I really didn't know the whole story until, you know, I asked you about it for this. But they are very special. They're very heavy. It's not your typical coffee mug. It has got some substance to it. But while we have Amy, we have one more question to ask her specifically. And here is a copy of my book, Discover Your Joy. And actually, Amy wrote one of the stories that is in here. And I was just honored that she agreed to do that. But Amy, tell us how you feel about having a story in the book and sharing that with your friends and family.
Well, I was very excited, Louise, when you asked me to do that. Being neighbors, you know, we're privy to a lot of things that go on in each other's lives. And you were privy to an experience in mine and asked me to share it. And I was more than happy to do so. And it makes me just feel so good to think that there may be someone who reads that particular story that might just need it for that day or that time in their lives, and that it might affect change in someone, change towards joy and acceptance. And I just really am honored that you asked me to contribute. I thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate your contribution there. And in the book, it's one we haven't gotten to yet since we're still in July, but it is upcoming, and I know you'll enjoy it when you get there.
Unless you skip around like I do.
And I do have one friend, Jill, who just sent me a message in the last few days that she has finished the book. She just read the whole book.
Right. It's tempting.
Yes. Okay. Well, Amy, we talked about different things to do with joy today. Tell me, how do you maintain joy in your life on a daily basis?
Well, the first thing that I do in the morning truly is I wake up with gratitude, and you speak towards that a lot in your book, but it's true. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, is to get up with a grateful heart. And I do that, and I also acknowledge God as my maker, my sustainer, and I know beyond any doubt that I am loved by Him with an unfailing love, and that gives me great confidence and joy.
So do you have a favorite quote or a Bible verse about joy?
I do have a Bible verse, Louise, and let me read it for you, okay?
Okay,
Would that be
please.
all right? All right, I've brought it with me. It is Psalms chapter 90, verse 14. Satisfy us in the morning with your unfailing love, that we may sing for joy and be glad all our days.
I love that verse. I've kind of highlighted all the verses about joy in my own Bible. Okay, friends, I apologize for my cough. But I mentioned we were going to give away one copy of your Journal to Joy, and it will be a random drawing. And to be entered into that, just go to my website, louisepistol.com, and download your own copy of the journal, and this will automatically register you for a printed copy of it. And anyone who happens to already be on the newsletter list, they are already entered, so you don't need to download it again. I will draw a name next Monday. I believe that's July 19th at 9 a.m. So just be sure you're registered by then.
Good luck.
Yes. Okay, we have enjoyed our time with you today. Be sure to download your copy of Journal of Joy. If you haven't, let me know. If you also want to print a copy, I can send it to you for just the cost, the direct cost of printing and postage. Thank you, Amy, for being here today. I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you, Louise.
You bet. And we'll hope to see all of you again very soon.